Welcome to Vermont Today. I'm your host, Terry Gerolman, and my guest this time is Peter Diamondstone. Peter is running for Patrick Leahy's job as a senator in Washington to represent the state of Vermont. Peter, how did you decide to run for the Senate in Washington?
Now, you know that I'm going to start with I don't run.
Oh, I forgot. I'm sorry. You're standing for election.
No, I'm just a candidate for a job. That's a job application. My decision is very simple. When my party doesn't have a candidate, I fill a vacancy. It's not a, I mean, I've been a candidate for Attorney General, for U.S. House, for Governor, and it's just, I'm a party hack, in a sense. I just fill the vacancy.
But your normal party is Liberty Union, and this time you're running for the Socialist Party.
Socialist Party. This will be the 20th time, I think, that I've been on the ballot, and this is the first time that it will not be Liberty Union. It will be the Socialist Party. I've been a member of the Socialist Party for more than 10 years, but being a party hack doesn't mean that I have to. We were forced to choose by the Secretary of State. We all filed as both Liberty Union and Socialist, and the Secretary of State has ruled that we each have to choose one or the other. We could be Liberty Union and Democrat, we could be Liberty Union and Republican, we could be Liberty Union and Progressive, but they won't let us go Liberty Union and Socialist. So we made the designation, each of us, and most of them who are candidates for state office, where the vote count will give us major party status, or can give us major party status. They're still Liberty Union candidates. But way back in the 70s, the legislature ruled that, or passed a law saying that we won't count the federal offices for major party status. That was because we kept getting it for the U.S. House. So they decided they couldn't get rid of just the U.S. House, they got rid of the House and the Senate as a measuring stick. And I just am a candidate for the U.S. Senate. I mean, I've been a candidate for the U.S. House. The issues are pretty much the same. And they really don't change very much. I mean, we've been talking about, while the media likes to talk about the Iraq War as beginning in March of 2003, that war is now 20 years old. It began in August of 1990 and has never stopped. And as a matter of fact, the principal bombing took place under the Clinton administration, while National Petroleum Radio was and the BBC. The BBC still says it. The United States bombed Iraq the last 3 days of 1998. But Brian Williams of CNBC broadcast on August 17th, 1999. We've been bombing them the last 3 days of 98 or the last 4 days of 98. And every day since. We dropped more tonnage during the Clinton administration on Iraq than we dropped on Cambodia and Laos. And we dropped more tonnage on Cambodia and Laos than we dropped in all of the Second World War. So you know what Clinton did to Iraq.
So if you're elected to the U.S. Senate, what will you do to try to end the wars?
Well, first, it's my view that every member of House and Senate who has voted to finance genocide in Iraq, in Palestine, Afghanistan, they're all war criminals. So my position will be that I have a legal and moral and ethical obligation to refuse to vote for military appropriation that pays for that genocide. That's the principal thing I can do, and I can hold hearings. You know, if I'm in the United States Senate, the Socialist Party caucus can hold hearings, and so there'll only be one of us, but you know, we can hold hearings.
Some of our viewers may not be familiar with those parties, the Liberty Union and the Socialist. I believe the Liberty Union is just the state of Vermont,
right?
And the Socialist Party, that's national, isn't it?
National party, and it really most people think of it as in pretty high terms when they speak of Norman Thomas or Eugene Debs and others. But this party really is not. It's very much like other socialist parties around the world. If you look at its history, it's not a very pleasant history. I knew Norman Thomas in my youth. He was a family friend and neighbor, and we disagreed on Korea. The Socialist Party was supporting the war in Korea, albeit the Truman level of war, not the MacArthur level of war. The Socialists said we should stop at the 38th parallel. And now, as a member of Veterans for Peace, you know, Veterans for Peace has done a really fine job in investigating the massacres that the United States undertook against the Korean people during that Korean War. And I've been a member of Veterans for Peace for 15 years.
You just came back from a Veterans for Peace conference in Maine, didn't you?
25th anniversary of the existence of that organization, which began in Maine, and now has hundreds of chapters. And it does really, for instance, they were the people who went with Cindy Sheehan to Crawford. I mean, there would have been nobody there with Cindy Sheehan except Cindy Sheehan, unless Veterans for Peace went there with her. It's Father Bourgeois, who's a member of Veterans for Peace, who began the vigil at School of the Americas. And after folks were done at Crawford, when that closed down because Bush left, they went to Katrina. They were on the scene in Katrina. There's an immense, we did water projects in Iraq, trying to get pure water, clean water for the people of Iraq after the United States kept bombing their water systems. I mean, there were small projects, but at least some people got some clean water, some drinkable water, out of volunteers, you know, and out of contributions. It's a marvelous organization. And my years were put in during Korea, and I got the GI Bill, and between my wife working and the GI Bill, I went to law school.
You went to the University of Chicago Law School, didn't you?
University of Chicago Law School. And when I was back for the 45th anniversary reunion, I walked through some of the halls and looked at the photographs of the professors in the business school and said, you know, I don't know how I got into this school. They're all libertarians. And then as we were leaving, I said to Doris, you know, I don't know how I got out of this school. But there was some, I mean, there were some people on the sort of liberal side. I know Katzenbach is a name people will remember because he was involved in desegregating, I think it was the University of Mississippi, as Kennedy's Attorney General. I think it was Kennedy's Attorney General. And Malcolm Sharp had defended one of the defendants in the Rosenberg case. I forget which defendant it was. It may have been Sobel. So, you know, the traditions of the school that sort of reflect Schultz and what's the other guy, Friedman, they're not so solid that people of other slants are kept out of the school.
There were some other famous Vermonters, too, that went to the University of Chicago. For instance, Bernie Sanders, I believe, went there, and also Dennis Morris. So, did you know them there?
No, and I don't think either of them were in the law school.
Dennis was, but only for a short time.
No, and there are several prominent lawyers in the state who were my classmates. Racklin, Downs and Racklin, and Peter Langrock. And I think the state's attorney in Brattleboro, in Windham County, who just recently, not the state's attorney, the public defender who just retired. He was from the University of Chicago. Now, we've made some of us from the University of Chicago Law School have helped to make Vermont what it is. And not that, I mean, I'm on one side of the political spectrum, and Racklin is on the almost opposite side of the political spectrum. But we've made our contribution.